Profit is brought to you by StopToShop.com, and they've got some of the best prices on the internet for the new emerging power set. Now's the perfect time to stock up on playable cards like Gothitelle, Pokemon Catcher, Tornadus, or even the new Pokemon Trading Card Game Online code cards. Click on the link in the description to check out the set. When you do, you'll get a 10% discount on your full order at checkout. When you're looking for cards, make the stop. It's Stop to Shop.
Hey everybody, it's Jay Woods here from the Pokemon Trading Card Game Show Profit, and I've got for you guys today another Pokemon Trading Card Game match. I've had a cold for a while, so I've been unable to do a voiceover for this game, but we will have one today and another one later this week. Right now is my MegaZone against Carver's ReshiPhlosion. My MegaZone list, as you guys know, has gotten a lot more consistent, a lot less techy since Worlds. I've just been trying to be as careful as I can with the Pokemon Catcher format. I got rid of Kingdra, got rid of Jirachi, just running Pachirisu. Pretty stable, simple build. Carver's running a very experimental build of ReshiPhlosion. He's got things like double colorless energy, rescue energy, and black belt, if he ever falls behind in such a fast format. So we start off, I mulligan. No basic in my hand means that Carver can draw an extra card if he wants. If he has a basic, he does, so he draws the extra card. And I shuffle up. Now, me and Carver, we played plenty of games this day, and unfortunately we didn't play a single good game. They were all very lopsided one way or another, and unfortunately this is the best game that we could play. I know it's not a perfect example of how the matchup between the two decks works, but I hope you guys see a little bit about each deck and how a game can go pretty poorly for you if you start even just slightly bad. So it's my Tyrogue to his Cyndaquil, and he's going first. Now if he ran a Tyrogue of his own, I would lose right now before I even get to draw a card, but he doesn't. Tyrogue's got 30 HP, he has an attack for 0 energy that does 30 damage. He's great for knocking out other 30 HP Pokemon like Solosis and Cleffa, and other Tyrogues. He's decent in this matchup. It can bring a Reshiram's 130 HP down to 100, which is just a 2 energy lost burn with MegaZone Prime instead of 3 energy, but this is too early in the game to really think about anything like that. He plays Collector. With his 3 basics, he gets 2 Cyndaquils and a Vulpix. That way his board is just fairly secure. If I ever do get set up fast enough to try and pick off some quick prizes, he's already got a lot of basics to evolve, and even if I do start getting things like Catcher and Pokemon out quickly enough, he's got a pretty good board already. Going first also prevents him from letting any of his Pokemon be knocked out, so he's pretty safe with the 1 Vulpix down, and he's just in a pretty good spot. He attaches to the Cyndaquil and thinks for a little bit, settles for beat, do 10 damage onto my Tyrogue. I draw and drop a Cleffa from my hand right away. That's usually not a good sign to have 2 baby Pokemon down. I play Catcher to bring up his Vulpix, also not a good sign. I show my hand, Rare Candy, 2 Pokemon Communication, and 2 Lightning. I can't do anything with that hand, and so I eek right away. Cleffa lets me shuffle my hand into my deck, and then I draw 6 cards, and Cleffa falls asleep. If he stays asleep, he prevents damage from attacks that Carver gives me on his turn, and if he wakes up, then he's awake and has 30 HP and is a pretty easy prize. So I shuffle up, and we've had so many bad games at this point that I'm really trying to get my deck as randomized as possible. And there it is. I cut Carver's deck for some reason. We've played so many games at this point that I try and uncut his deck. Normally, you do not cut your opponent's deck unless your opponent has shuffled, so that was kind of a strange error on my part. Again, we've just had so many bad games, we're trying to play one good one. And it looks like Cleffa stays asleep. Carver draws. And one big key thing for this matchup for me, I try and knock out his Cyndaquils before they become Typhlosion to fuel all this energy acceleration for his Reshirams. For him, he's just trying to get those Typhlosions out as quickly as possible to support the Reshiram and take knockouts before I can evolve anything. Right now, pretty untraditionally, he's starting a lot faster than I am. He's attaching to his Reshiram, or considering attaching. And he's already got a pretty secure board. He's got all the Cyndaquils, he's got the Vulpix who can evolve into Ninetales and give him more draw. It just puts him at a much better position, and normally my deck is the one that gets set up faster with very quick Yamega Prime. He plays Charon. It's a new draw supporter from the emerging power set that a lot of people have been trying. Lets you draw 3 cards straight up. He evolves one of his Cyndaquils into Quilava, And it looks like he passes after that. So he didn't get too much. He didn't get any Typhlosions out, no Ninetales, no real quick outs, and my Cleffa remains asleep, coming into my turn again. I play Sage's Training, look at the top 5 cards in my deck, and I'm allowed to discard 3 of them and keep 2. At this point, I'm just trying to get basics down so that I can evolve into anything, preferably a Magnemite and some out to get into a MegaZone Prime so that I can draw again. It looks like, on accident again, I'm so tired at this point I show him the cards that I take. I actually don't have to show him. Take a Rescue Energy and a Communication. But I think I play both the cards anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And off that Pokemon Communication, I think I'm debating which Pokemon to put back in. I put in a Yanmega Prime. And at this point I'm probably going to go for a Magnemite. Magnemite evolves into MegaZone and lets me start drawing, and without him I really don't even have a chance in this game. I'm already off to a pretty bad foot, and it looks like that's what I settle for. So I shuffle up, I attach the Rescue Energy to Magnemite, so in case he does knock it out, at least Magnemite goes back to my hand and I have something to work with, and I pass again. Cleffa remains asleep for the 3rd time in a row, and covers up. Looks like Carver's got a catcher, which means my Magnemite is definitely not safe if he's able to set anything up this turn. He attaches to his Vulpix. Plays another Sharon to draw 3 cards. And it looks like you got some good stuff in there. We see a Professor Oak's New Theory, a Junk Arm, and a Rare Candy. As long as he has Pokemon Communication, he can get a Typhlosion Prime out right now. And looking at his hand, he plays the catcher and brings up my Tyrogue. It looks like he does not have any way to get out Typhlosion Prime. He thinks for a moment, he almost attacks with the Vulpix, but realizes that he can just knock me out with Reshiram instead, and he's going to be discarding an energy anyways, so he does that, and knocks me out with Outrage for 20. I play Rare Candy to MegaZone, so I've got my MegaZone Prime out now, and I can at least try and draw and get into the game. I attach 1 Lightning Energy, look at some of the options in my hand, and Magnetic Draw. Draw cards until I have 6 in my hand. So right now things are at least looking a little bit better for me. I try and play Judge. I'm hoping that with his hand size so large, if I cut him down to 4 cards, he might not be able to get anything out, might not be able to come back into the game. At this point I'm just assuming he's got other draw supporters. He did have the Professor Oak's New Theory, so I guess I was right in that regard, but he actually was getting a pretty slow start out. And off the Judge I draw 4 cards. Not really that great considering that I've already done my Magnetic Draw for the turn, but it looks like I just didn't have any other supporters to play, and it's all I was able to settle for. So we both shuffle up and draw 4. And I drop another Magnemite right away. I think I was hoping for a Yanma, because Yanmega can knock out all of his bench Pokemon off a catcher, but looks like I missed that. And it looks like I Eek right away. Draw a new hand of 6. All I could do is drop the Magnemite and not do much else. And that's about it. I think this turn I forget to flip for Cleffa, and in the middle of Carver's turn I end up doing that. And unfortunately it looks like my Judge gave him a better hand than he already had. He gets the Communication and a Typhlosion Prime, and things are not looking good for me. I do have the MegaZone, which can survive a 120 damage Blue Flare from Reshiram, but that still doesn't mean that I'm not off to a good start. I have to throw away my energies, and I can't get them back as quickly as he can with his Typhlosion Prime, and he's already a prize up, so things aren't good. He also gets a Professor Juniper off of those 4 cards from Judge, so he gets to draw a whole new hand of 7. So it actually really was counterintuitive for me to Judge. It put him in a much better spot, and I'm in a lot more trouble. He does his first Afterburner with Typhlosion Prime, lets you attach a fire from your discard pile, and you put 1 damage counter on you. So now at this point, he can deal 120 damage with Blue Flare to knock something out. He also has 1 damage counter on him and can do 30 damage with Outrage to knock out the Cleffa. Except at this point we realize, oh, I forgot to flip for Cleffa, so we now realize Cleffa's asleep, and he changes his mind on the Afterburner. He decides to go for it anyways, just to use it each turn so he's not wasting it, and he passes. I wake up, coming into my turn, and I draw. I dropped the Yanma, probably one that I wanted a lot more last turn. Evolving into Yanmega now gives me a prize on at least the Vulpix, and that shuts him off from draw, but at this point, MegaZone's pretty energy dependent. If I want to take any knockouts, I'm going to have to throw at least 2 energy into the Lost Zone, which isn't really that great. Eventually I'll run out of energy, he'll knock out my only draw support, and things won't be looking that great. But already at this point, he has a Typhlosion Prime out and 2 Quillavas, which could become Typhlosions at any moment, so things really aren't looking that good altogether. I'm looking at my hand for a while. I decide to retreat to the MegaZone, at least take a prize where I can. A Junk Arm. A great card for both getting new trainers and bringing my hand size down. I discard 2 cards to get a trainer card back. I think at this point all I've really played is the Pokemon Communication. And seeing how bad my hand is, normally I want to save Junk Arm for something more important like Pokemon Catcher. It seems like I'm just trying to play my hand size down so that I can draw more cards with Magnetic Draw. Looks like I decide to take Rare Candy, and Rare Candy to a new MegaZone. So I've got a low hand and 2 Magnetic Draws now. And I do my first one. And I believe this turn I'm trying pretty desperately to get an energy. Otherwise, if I get a knockout, I have to throw away all the energy on MegaZone Prime. And unfortunately, off both that Magnetic Draw and a Sage's Training, digging 5 cards into my deck, I can't find any of my 11 energy cards. This makes me pretty frustrated because getting an energy here means I can take a knockout no matter what pretty safely. I can either Catcher one of his Quillavas and throw 2 energy, leaving me with 1, or I can throw all 3 and knock out his only threat right now, which is the Reshiram active. Unfortunately, off both the drawing and more drawing with Sage's Training, I just have to discard more stuff. This also leaves me with the active MegaZone, pretty vulnerable to either a Typhlosion attack to discard energy, or just 2+ powers to knock me out with a Blue Flare. And it looks like I'm just forced to pass. At this point, I guess I would say that it was definitely pretty rash to retreat with Cleffa before even seeing if I'd get that energy or not. I know that it was pretty likely that I would, but it would have been much better to just leave Cleffa active and not retreat. That way, if I don't get the energy, I can eke again for a new hand. I don't put my only attacker with my only energy up and leave me stranded. So that's a misplay on my part, and you learn from watching the video again. So Carver drops a Cyndaquil, and he now has 4 Cyndaquils in play that could become Typhlosions at this point. He seems pretty set up to get 3 Typhlosion pretty quickly, so I don't know why he drops the Cyndaquil. I think later he talked about how he regretted it because it doesn't leave him more space to drop extra energy on another Reshiram. I think even here you can see him debating it. You don't need 4 Typhlosion in this matchup when you've already got 3 set up, but he decides to bench it anyways. It also just gives me a prize if I ever want to take one with the Yanmega Prime.